Hey guys, and welcome to my little quick tutorial on the I2C protocol. We are actually going to be communicating two trinkets. One is a 5 volt, one is a 3.3 volt with also a 5 volt Arduino Mega. We're going to first start hooking up these two guys, get those two communicating, and then we're going to show how, even though it's using the tiny wire M and tiny wire S, these two little guys can still talk with this. Now what we have here is a little tactile switch. We've got 3 LEDs that we're going to need here. A Trinket 5 volt, Trinket 3 volt. This is a bi-directional level shifter that basically allows these two devices to talk with each other without blowing each other to pieces. So the first thing I'm going to work on is hooking up the I2C protocol. It's easier wiring wise for me to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at pins 0 and pin 2 on each of these. Pin 0 is your data line. So for data, I use yellow normally to designate that. So I'm going to go ahead and hook up 0 to pin 1 on the bidirectional shifter, and pin 1 on the other side, again, to 0. Make sure it's hooked up right. Yep. And I use blue for my clock. I do this just because it's easier to tell what they are. You only use yellow and blue for clock and data. It makes it a little bit easier. So we're going to do pin 2. I'm going to pop these on number 4. That way it's easier to see the difference between the two. Just makes it easier. Alright, let me make sure I got these hooked up. Yep. Always have to double check. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to hook up the ground and the plus voltage to each of these here. This is going to be my 5 volt rail. This is going to be my 3.3 volt rail. That way it's a little bit easier to figure out which one is which. So we're going to start up here with the 5 volt power for this guy. Plug it right into the rail. Now on the bidirectional shifter you have a high voltage, which is my 5 volt on one side, and the 3.3 volt on the other side. It's actually powered by both, and in this case we do share a common ground. You'll see that here in a minute. Even if you didn't share a common ground, this will actually allow you to have a separate power supply for both. And then we need ground on this side. Let me double check I may hooked up everything right. It's hard doing this at a weird angle. I'm not standing up or anything, sitting down, trying to make sure I'm plugging these in the right holes. So that's one side. Let's go ahead and work on the other side real quick. Okay, so we got the ground for the 5 volt. We have the low voltage for the shifter. It's on the red rail. We have the ground for the shifter. It's there. And then we have the ground, or the 3 volt for the 3 volt Trinket. Right, so we have the majority of the stuff done. Next thing we need to do is hook up the switch. So I'm going to plug one end into ground, other end into one side of the switch, other side of the switch into pin 3, which is what I have the switch set up on. Last thing we're going to need to do before we hook up power is our LEDs. For the 5 volt, I just have an LED detecting that we did push the button so we can actually see if we have a connection between the two boards. And that's going to be set up on pin 4. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump that between pin 4 and ground here. Move that guy out of the way. And there's one. On the slave, I have it set up for pin 3 here. So I'm just going to go ahead, quick jump that between ground and 3. So next is voltages. I, again, try to color code it. If I don't have black, I use white. So white is our ground. I'm just going to jumper that from one to the other because we're only hooking up to one ground. My short one's going to be my 5 volt power. So I'm just going to pop that right onto the 5 volt right there. I have my 3 volt power. Pop that right onto the 3 volt here. And lastly, my ground. I'm just going to be lazy, hook it up on this part right here. Now as you see, the Trinkets have this little red LED. That's just saying it's trying to search for a USB signal. If it doesn't have a USB signal, they shut off. If they do this weird little blinky thing like, oh, I don't think it's going to do it because it's not USB, but it blinks because that's when you have to upload the sketch. So right now, if I push this button, it should light this light up and communicate with this one to light that one up. Perfect. Look at that. So this is a 5 volt and a 3 volt communicating, and you don't see any smoke, so that means we're good as far as that goes. So we have 2 more wires and 1 more LED. On the Arduino Mega, I have it doing the reverse logic. Normally, it will be on. And then once I go ahead and press the button, it should turn off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and just stay right on the, well, let me unplug this so you guys can see. I'm going to stay on the 5 volt side because this is a 5 volt Arduino. If you had a 3 volt, you would put it on the other side. So I'm going to hook up the data and then the clock. Now on your Arduinos, depending on which model you have, they are located in different places. So make sure you consult online arduino.cc for that information. I'm going to plug the LED back in and then make it so you guys can see better. I'm just going to bend that over. So if I push the button, this one should shut off. The other 2 should turn on. And it does. So that pretty much shows you that I2C, no matter whether you're doing the Trinkets, you're doing the Arduinos, or what sort of technology you have, it's all pretty much the same. I did have some issues with it earlier, trying to use a triggered event in order to actually catch the Mega side. I ended up wiping out the whole buzz itself. Don't know why it happened, couldn't figure out why. Brought that information or that check right inside the loop. So now, simple little push button. I'm also going to link to the code in the description. I'm going to put those up on my web server so you guys can actually download the code and see what's going on. I'm actually going to save that for another video because for some reason I can't render anything on my computer. So if you guys have a computer that you can go ahead and donate to me, contact me. I'd be happy to take it off your hands, but this old POS can't do any of that sort of rendering anymore. But other than that, you got 3 devices communicating using I2C, and it's pretty neat. And just to prove to you that they are, I'm going to take just the data line off. And when I plug that guy back in, everything works again. So if you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'll be more than happy to try to get to this as soon as I can. Again, all these components, the Trinkets, the level shifter, you can go ahead and visit my friends down at adafruit.com. Lady Ada will definitely appreciate the business there. And get the tactile button there too. Okay. Other than that, this is Geico Hall for you. This is I2C using 3 devices, both the 5 volt and the 3.3 volt. Go and check out some of my other videos. I do a lot of vlogging and stuff, and I do appreciate it if you guys would subscribe. Have a great day.